For the Mesa man accused of providing armor-piercing ammunition to the Las Vegas gunman is being pushed back again. Douglas Haig was scheduled to be in court next week, but that hearing has been moved to June 21st to allow more time for forensic testing of evidence. Authorities say they found Haig's fingerprints on unfired tracer ammunition cartridges inside the Las Vegas hotel room where Stephen Paddock went on the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Haig says he legally sold that ammo to Paddock weeks before the shooting that killed 58 people. He's charged with conspiring to make and sell armor-piercing ammunition.
In my travels I found a measuring device, on Google Earth thingamajig thing, with the earth on it and stuff, you know, Google Earth. Here they have a white stretchy thing, that you can put from one point to another that gives an indication of the distance, between the 2 points. In this case, near where the Mandalay Bay shooters' windows were, and all the way across to the airport jet fuel tank, that was shot at. Now, as I see it here, if this is accurate, it is approximately 644.31 meters or 2,113.89 feet from the fuel tank to the windows. Give or take a meter, I mean, what's a meter or two amongst friends? If we swing the stretchy thing around to where front of the stage would be, then it is showing about 350 meters or 1,159 feet to the front of the stage from the windows. That is quite a distance, and even more of a distance around this area where shots still hit people. Whether his plan was to make an escape after creating a distraction before the police came to his room or not is another thing. We all know that he took a few shots at the airport jet fuel tank. Interesting to note, that is, very thick, support-angled iron steel, that the bullet has penetrated into. I would say, that would have to be by a higher caliber projectile. To do that, from that distance. Like a .308 caliber rifle, like the one found in his room with a scope on it. Unfortunately, when the shooter shot at the tanks, he did not realize that it was a useless task, and a waste of time, and did not get the results that he was obviously hoping for. CNN sources suggest Las Vegas gunman Stephen Paddock fired special incendiary bullets at a 43,000-barrel fuel tank in what investigators believe was an attempt to cause an explosion, two law enforcement sources told CNN. Those types of rounds, meant to ignite what they hit, were found inside Paddock's room at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino and near the fuel tank a short distance away on the grounds of McCarran International. The sources, briefed on the investigation but not authorized to speak publicly, said the incendiary rounds were recovered in an area near the tank. Incendiary ammunition is a type of firearm ammunition containing a compound that burns rapidly and causes fires. The ammunition may also be called semi-armor piercing high-explosive incendiary, SAFI. The initial collision ignites the incendiary material in the tip, triggering the detonation of the heat charge. The second, zirconium powder, incendiary charge will also ignite. But again, in this case, he failed. I think that he had been watching too many action movies. And, perhaps, not enough research.
Hello and welcome to another NServe YouTube video. It's great to see you all. I just want to clarify a few things with this gentleman that sold some ammunition to Stephen Paddock. Old Douglas Haig, he's in a little bit of trouble. As you can see here, I'll leave any source, any links to this page or any information, I'll leave it on the page. But look, you know, June hearing set for man who provided ammo to Vegas shooter. A June 21 court hearing has been scheduled for an Arizona man accused of providing armor-piercing ammunition to the gunman in the deadliest mass shooting in modern US history. The hearing for Douglas Haig had been scheduled for next week, but was moved to June. This is last week. This is old news, guys. Just thought I'd bring you up to speed. But obviously it's been moved to June to provide, so that, you know, again, we're June the 21st, to provide more time for forensic testing of evidence and consider resolving the case before any indictment is filed. So they might try and settle it before it goes any further. I think that's kind of what it's saying to me. But look, prosecutors charged Haig with conspiring to make and sell armor-piercing ammunition. So they've obviously, you know, gone to his house and searched and seen that he's making armor-piercing. You know, I don't think it's against the law to make it, but I think selling it, you know, I believe. I'm not sure. I have to, you know, clear up on the laws. But you guys have let me know more about that than I know. So look, you know, it's I just want to clarify. I will in a minute what type of ammunition was found in Paddock's room. But they're basically alleging and charging him with conspiring to make and sell armor-piercing ammunition. So it's nothing to do with the tracer rounds. This is armor-piercing. Because I do believe there was a few types found in his room. But as they say, authorities say unfired armor-piercing cartridges found inside the Las Vegas room where Stephen Paddock launched the October 1st attack had Haig's fingerprints on him. Haig maintains he legally sold tracer ammunition, which illuminates the path of fired bullets. I'll show you in a minute how that happened, how that works.
Why would he need incendiary tracer ammunition rounds? I think you just seen why. Apart from the explosion on impact of the projectile, they stand out like dog balls at night so you can see where the bullet landed, and know how much higher, or lower, to aim to hit your target. During the day you have vision and can see where the bullets are landing, so you can correct your aim, higher, lower or to the left, or right etc. Here is a shooter from a steady platform, shooting at a target 600 yards away.
Yes! You hit like just low. There you go. That was... Alright. There you go. Yep. Good center mass impact. There you go. Yep. Just high, Eric.
See, we are getting near the end of the tunnel. We can definitely see the light at the end. When we all work together and become one, we can win, and conquer anything we set our minds to. Just be careful and make sure that the light is not a bloody freight train coming at you.
To Paddock, weeks before the shooting that killed 58 people. His charge again centres on armour piercing cartridges. Now if I just get this other one up here, again from the preliminary report, they clearly say in here, if we note here, the AR-10, which is the 308, the larger caliber, so 7.62mm rifle, magazines and the bolt action, so both guns in their magazine were loaded with tracer and frangible incendiary and also armour piercing incendiary. So I want this cleared up. So what they're saying, there's one type which is tracer, the next type was the frangible so this is exploding incendiary, so it explodes on impact. Then we got armour piercing, just armour piercing that will go through hard metal, and then also we have armour piercing that will not only go through hard metal, but it has incendiary ammunition. So it will explode. So it will go through hard metal and it will explode. That's what that's... I will clarify this a little bit further on here in a second. But they say a complete breakdown of the ammunition types in the firearms, rifle magazines and expended cartridges casings will be documented in the final report. But you need to see here clearly, they found in the room, in the magazines, okay, so there was three types, which was tracer rounds, which leave a tracer when they shoot it. I can't even say it properly, frangible incendiary, which are obviously exploding, and then we have armour piercing, which was just hard tips made of hard material that will go through metal, and then armour piercing, which is hard tip, exploding. And I will clarify that here as I can just show you here, if I may. I've got something pre-arranged here. For example, if I can just show you here, as I just said, I've copied this from the preliminary report. So they're saying that the AR-10, the 308 7.62 rifle, magazines and the bolt actions were both loaded with tracer. And I need this emphasised that these are three different types. So we got a tracer, so there's tracer that will stand up, frangible incendiary, which is the exploding type, armour piercing on its own will just go through metal, and armour piercing that explode, incendiary ammunition. Now, just to break this down for you guys so you understand, incendiary on its own, just incendiary ammunition. The ammunition may also be called semi-armour piercing, high explosive incendiary. So sapphire, is that what they say? The initial collision ignites the incendiary material in the tip, triggering the detonation of the HE charge. The second zirconium powder incendiary charge will also ignite. So basically just an incendiary ammunition is exploding. As you can see here, if I can just put on this picture here, this, not that one but the one next to it, this one here, the clear picture, you can see it's a cutaway section of it. You can see in the tips there, they're putting compounds in there that obviously explode on impact, which are exploding. So that's incendiary ammunition. As you can see, they've got a diagram here of the points. It's about the points. Now, armour piercing ammunition. As I said, just armour piercing on its own is obviously made of hard metal that will go through metal. So armour piercing rifle and pistol cartridges are built around a penetrator of hardened steel. So they're made of, like, the tips are not just like copper. It's now we're talking tungsten or tungsten carbide. We're talking brittle, hard stuff that will go through metal, called hardcore bullets. Aircraft and tank rounds sometimes use a core of depleted uranium. So armour piercing on their own will go through metals. Again, coming back here, we've got incendiary ammunition, which is the exploding type. Now, armour piercing with incendiary, well, that's self-explanatory after I've just covered them two. You can see that. So you've got armour piercing is made from harder materials, and of course we've got the incendiary sapphire, which the initial collision ignites the incendiary. So three different types. We've got tracer, so that's something that you can see at night, which I'll show you in a second coming up. Frangible incendiary, which is the exploding type, and armour piercing on its own. So there's all them different types just in one magazine. So what was he doing? Did he have one loaded up so he could see where it's going, if he's high or low, or maybe a couple of tracer, and then the armour piercing and the exploding just as a mixture to see which one's going to ignite this jet fuel? Because don't forget, this guy actually really believed that this jet fuel, these tanks were going up. Don't forget, guys, you know, don't forget that. He really believed that these tanks were going up, you know. So that's about the size of it. Now this guy's getting charged for selling armour piercing. So they're suggesting, I've also got a copy here too I'd like to show you guys. This here I've just got to find where I'm up to. This is account 1, conspiring to manufacture and sell armour piercing ammunition. So it's for Douglas Haig. You can see the document is legal document, legal court documents. I don't know if they call this an affidavit. So look, basically, I just want to brief you on this. So it's directed at Douglas Haig, and the charge are conspiring to manufacture and sell armour-piercing ammunition. So there's nothing illegal about tracer ammunition. So as Paddock went and told this Haig bloke, look, I just want to put on a light show and and you know, I just want some ammunition if I can buy off you. Now, you don't want to read all this. This is just going to talk about the FBI agent and saying that he's done his job for a while and been involved in violent street gangs, disciplinary and criminal enterprising and drug trafficking and organisation. So he's got his experience. That's all that's saying. And the background of the investigation, they're just touching on that. But the main thing where we want to is here, the summary of statements by Douglas. Look, he's basically saying that he legally sold Stephen Paddock tracer rounds for put on a light show. He hasn't admitted to selling armour piercing. However, obviously, according to the documents here, they found armour piercing in Paddock's room that had Haig's fingerprints on it. So really, it doesn't matter what Haig says. He's saying that he sold. You know, I guess the only thing he could say is that a couple of them fell in amongst it accidentally. But look, if Paddock had armour piercing loaded into the magazine as well as a tracer round, armour piercing incendiary, so explosive, one after the other, so he could see where it was going, higher or lower, and then obviously the armour piercing or the armour piercing exploding rounds kicked in. You know, but I just try and skip down to this document to show you where this is focusing. Again, this is all about, you know, Haig talking about that at the gun show, Paddock had come to him and, you know, wanted to buy ammunition from him, and Haig suggested that he didn't have the amount of ammunition that Paddock wanted there, so come to my house and I'll fix you up, and gave him his phone number, his address for his business, because his business is from his house, I guess. So this is what's happening, but look, latent fingerprints found on 2 of the unfired .308 caliber .76 millimeter cartridges were identified as the fingerprints of Douglas Haig. These cartridges were marked with tool marks, so the tools that he was using on his press, etc., or the assembly, little presses that he's got there, little tools, little holders and that to make the bullets, identified that he obviously done it. So in my books, I'm sorry, you know, he might say he hadn't sold them to Paddock and they'd fallen in. I mean, that's probably his best defence. But the fact is, they're traceable back to him. They're armour piercing, and armour piercing are illegal as far as I know, let alone explosive armour piercing. And we all know what Paddock's ideas were and his tensions, well, his thoughts were for them tanks. I mean, geez, I would have watched the same movie. I would have thought that you shoot exploding bullets into a tank of fuel, it's going to go up. Hello, I'm sorry, I'm a mechanical fitter. I would have thought that. It's only these people that research that a little bit further that find out that it's like diesel fuel, you know, like petrol ignites with a spark plug as you got in a car, and diesel ignites under compression. So it's hard to ignite diesel and it's hard to ignite this jet fuel, and I wouldn't have known that unless you actually fully researched it. So obviously Paddock, again, I've been watching the same movie as Paddock has, and he thought that these tanks were going to explode. Okay, look, just having a little bit of a closer look here at these images. When we zoom in here, you can clearly see to me that's an explosion from a gun hit. Okay, you can really see that. Okay. And if we just look at the other one as well, and we zoom in on this little baby, you can see that it's clearly. And the more interesting shot about this one is if you have a look at this closer, you can actually see that there's more down below than there is on the top of the explosion. So that's indicating that bullet's come in at a slight angle. So elevation, obviously, because there's more below. I mean, if it come in from below and hit it, there'd be a lot more above it if it's from a ground shot. But this has obviously come from about where that arrow is, actually, about the right angle. I mean, I think there's been calculations done, and I believe it was 11 degrees or something between that shot and the Mandalay Bay window 32135. But yes, like I'm saying, you can clearly see that there's some sort of explosion. It's not just like a normal entry, as you see here, which is a straight on from 90 degrees, straight in entry. There's no explosion marks, nothing, you know. It's armour piercing would do a similar thing, maybe not punch such a dented hole. It would probably be a more precise hole, as in looks like it's used with a punch with support, because it'd go through pretty quick and pretty hard. But there's your bullet discrepancies and angles. But I think I can't help noticing that this is obvious. If you're telling me that's just a normal bullet, I think this is wrong. I think that's an exploding bullet as it went in, and same as the other shot as well. I think so. That's what I reckon. Anyhow, look guys, I hope I've brought you up to speed with as much as what I've shown you here, to clarify a little bit better what is what with the rounds: tracer rounds, armor piercing rounds, incendiary, which are the exploding types, and armor piercing incendiary, which is the armor piercing and exploding. So I mean, he planned this. He had the right bullets there, guys. I'm sorry. So I just hope that it's just brought this a little bit more clearer to what's going on and what this Douglas Haig bloke, is getting in trouble for. But look, in all fairness, you can't really say that when he sold them to Paddock, he knew Paddock was going to go and do what Paddock was going to do. I mean, Paddock was telling him that he's going to go and do a little gun show at night and put on a light show. So really, you can't say it's your fault, Mr. Haig, that Paddock shot, without your bullets. He would have got them somewhere else. I'm sure Paddock would have got them from somewhere else. But anyhow, again, I hope that I've clarified this and helped you guys understand a little bit more about this and brought it out to the table, shed a little bit more light on it for you. Thank you very much for your time, and as I always say, may God bless.
I had no contribution to what Paddock did. I had no way to see into his mind. The product that I sold him had absolutely nothing to do with what he did. I'm a vendor, merchant whose name was released. It's changed quite a bit since my name was released. I've had people pounding on my door, death threats, one woman screaming through my door that I should be killed and I should die. It's been not a lot of fun, quite frankly.
To the best of our knowledge, none of the ammunition that Doug sold to Mr. Paddock was used at all in the tragedy that occurred in Las Vegas. In September of 2017, Doug sold 720 rounds of tracer ammunition to Mr. Paddock. That ammunition was not modified in any way whatsoever from the manufacturer's specs. Doug then provided a box for Mr. Paddock to carry that ammunition as he left. That box happened to contain Doug's personal information, including his name and his address. There was absolutely nothing about that transaction that arose any suspicion whatsoever for Doug. This was a routine transaction to purchase a routine type of ammunition that is available in many different retail outlets throughout the state of Arizona.
With AZCentral.com. I'm standing in front of the home of Douglas Haig, a 55-year-old Mason man who this morning was charged with selling armor-piercing ammunition to the shooter in the massacre in Las Vegas that occurred October 1st. Mr. Haig, allegedly, according to a criminal complaint, sold this ammunition to Stephen Paddock, the shooter in that case, and the government says that his fingerprints were found on unexpired rounds from the ammunition in the hotel room at the Mandalay Beach Resort.